The Trump administration is following through with plans rolling back federal limits on carbon and air pollution from fossil fuel power plants. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin announced the repeal of the power plant carbon dioxide rule at the agency's headquarters today. Zeldin also announced a rollback of the mercury and air toxics standards, which currently regulates the amount of mercury and other hazardous air pollutants from fossil fuel-based power plants. The Trump administration says the rollbacks are mainly a response to complaints from the fossil fuel sector and the electricity industry about the cost of compliance. So for more on this, Tracy Wholf joins us on set here in Studio 57. She is the senior coordinating producer for the CBS News Climate Unit. There are a lot of words, a lot of terminology here, but essentially boil it down. What does this mean? Why did President Trump and the EPA commissioner decide to revoke these rules? What does this actually mean?
Sure, Nancy. So when Trump came back into office in January, he made it his priority to unleash American energy, right? And part of that is cutting through any regulation that might make it more expensive to produce energy. So in 2015, under the Obama administration and under the Biden administration, they passed several rules to limit carbon pollution from power plants, also to limit the types of toxins that some of these power plants put into the air. And to do that, they had power plants had to put on a lot of technology that the industry claimed was very cost prohibitive, made the cost of business more expensive. And so under the Trump administration, they wanted to do anything that could help make producing energy cheaper, in their opinion. And so that's part of what this announcement was today, was more to that unleashing American energy, cutting back regulations that made doing business, especially for fossil fuel companies and those power sectors, more expensive.
So what do critics of these rollbacks, what are they saying about this today?
Yeah, as you can imagine, the environmental industry is not a fan of this announcement. When these rules were proposed, especially when they were finalized in the last year, a lot of analysis was done by the Biden EPA, saying that these rules would provide hundreds of billions of dollars in cost savings in the terms of health impacts, right? Preventing premature death, preventing asthma attacks. And that would lead to billions and billions and billions of dollars in cost savings because we wouldn't have to go to the hospital this often. The industry said, I'm sorry, it's still too expensive to comply with this. But a lot of critics and environmental groups say this was worth not only protecting our health, it also was preventing more carbon emissions from going to the air and contributing to climate change.
So you bring up the health impacts. What do you see as or foresee as the potential health impacts of this going down, looking into the future of revoking or rolling back these two rules?
You know, one thing that was interesting in Zeldin's announcement today is that he plans on not only revoking these rules, but he's going to revise them. And he did make it very clear that he says no power plant will emit more emissions than they do today. What that really meant was those rules and standards that the Biden administration passed last year, they hadn't gone into effect yet. So we hadn't really seen all of the benefits to those reduction standards quite yet. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see what will happen here. You know, as the pendulum swings back and forth between administrations, who knows how long this will stick. But in the press announcement that the EPA released, they say that their new revised rules will save industry $19 billion, for example. But $19 billion that the industry saves are hundreds of billions of dollars that you and I can save in preventing health costs. You'll have to pick which one you prefer.
Yeah, very good to put it all in context. And that you did. Tracy Wholf, thank you very much for joining us.